longtime admirer of Father Yorke. We are all here today, very happy to be here. Father Peter Christopher Yorke had a brother named Francis Marie Yorke, who left San Francisco and settled in British Columbia, where we're from. Francis was my great-grandfather. His son, Gregory Theodore Yorke, was my grandfather. His son, Bruce Yorke, is our father. And it was from our father, Bruce Yorke, that my brothers and I learned of the legacy of Father Peter Yorke. Our father, while in some ways different in outlook, absolutely agreed with Father Yorke in his defense of labor, and he was proud of his family connection. He always kept this picture of Father Yorke close with him, and we always were aware of that. My father was elected to the Vancouver City Council by its citizens 4 times, and in office he continued the tradition in his advocacy for the cause of labor, for the impoverished in our society, and for peace in our world. My brothers and I have all carried on in the work in the unions in our respective fields, aware of the debt and respect owed to Father Peter Yorke, and we are here now to join you today and to thank you for continuing to mark this day. 1 year ago, at this place, Brother Pat Mulligan of the Carpenters said this: Father Yorke's writings, sermons, and lectures in defense of the rights of working people resonates through time. And I was struck by that. I said, well, why is that? And I think that the best answer is to revisit some of the actual words of Father Yorke, the answers that he gave to the questions of his day, questions that seem to echo down the years. Today, more loudly than ever, the apostles of avarice tell us that unbridled self-aggrandizement and self-interest is the best engine of progress. Well, to that, Father Peter Yorke says, "Shall men for whom Christ died to teach them that they were free men with free men's rights be crushed beneath the foot of the least bright of all the angels that fell from heaven, Mammon, the spirit of greed?" When those defenders of greed tell us that the worth of human work is to be determined by the iron law of the jungle market, Father Yorke answers this way: the price of labor is not determined in the open market and with unlimited competition. There is such a thing as a just price. There is such a thing as a fair wage. A man who tries by competition or by throwing dust in your eyes or by any other means to get you to work for less than your work is worth commits one of the sins that Christ inveighs against, for he defrauds the laborer of his hire. Our times bear witness to the elevated power of the corporations, grown so haughty as to demand the destruction of the right to collective bargaining. But they must still deal with Father Yorke. He said, "Collective bargaining is an elementary human right. It is absolutely necessary if working men are to make a free contract. The ordinary individual is helpless before the individual capitalist. He is, if possible, at a still greater disadvantage before a corporation that has nobody to be kicked and no soul to be damned. Collective bargaining is the sole asset of the laborer to get a fair treatment, and should be the duty of the state to protect him in that right." Words that I think are more appropriate today than ever. Sometimes, when we are tempted to fear or despair at the power of those who trample on the rights and the welfare of working people, Father Yorke reminds us where we have come from and why there is hope. And he said this: "The bone and sinew of every country are the masses, not the classes. I pride myself that I have come from the masses. I pride myself that my fathers before me were men who knew the pleasure of the sweat of toil, and therefore I believe that upon the masses, upon the labor people, and upon their unions, upon your organizations here